Chapter 1: The Power of Listening. A few years back, I was exactly where some of you might be right now. Feeling awkward in social situations, dreading small talk, and avoiding eye contact like it's a sport. But I found a trick, a superpower, if you might call it. You want to know what it is? Listening. Yep, simple as that. Now, I know that you're thinking, John, I listen all the time. Heck, I'm listening to music right now. But trust me, there's a world of difference between passive hearing and truly listening. Let's dive into it together, shall we? You see, most of us, especially when nervous, tend to focus on what we're going to say next in a conversation. Our minds race a mile a minute, planning out our next sentence or how to make an impression. But while we're doing all that mental gymnastics, we miss out on what the other person is actually saying. Have you ever met someone who just made you feel heard? Like they were genuinely interested in what you had to say? Even if you were just talking about your cat's latest antics or the sandwich you had for lunch. It feels good, right? You automatically warm up to that person. That's the magic of active listening. Let's try a simple exercise. Remember that last conversation you had? Maybe it was with your neighbor, a colleague, or that barista at your local coffee shop. Can you recall the exact details they shared about their weekend plans or how they felt about the latest movie they watched? If not, you might have missed an opportunity to truly connect. Imagine the next time you chat with someone, you truly zone into their words. Not just the words, but the emotions behind them. The little details they share, the way their eyes light up talking about a hobby. You'll soon realize that listening is like holding up a mirror. It makes the person you're chatting with feel seen, and in return, they'll want to know more about you. It's a two-way street. Now, let's talk about how to be a top-notch listener. Firstly, forget about planning your next move. It's okay to pause and think before responding. Sometimes those quiet moments, those few seconds of reflection, can lead to deeper conversations. Secondly, maintain good eye contact. Now, I don't mean staring them down, that's just creepy. But gentle, occasional eye contact lets the other person know you're truly present. If looking directly into someone's eyes feels too intense, try focusing on the bridge of their nose. They won't notice the difference, and you'll feel more at ease. Next, put that phone away. I know, it's tempting to check that notification or scroll through social media, especially if you're feeling a tad anxious. But it's hard to convince someone that you're listening if half of your attention is on your latest Instagram like. Also, here's a fun trick. As you listen, try to pick out the interests or hobbies they mention. Maybe they love gardening, or they've recently taken up pottery. Remember, these little nuggets of information. The next time you meet, ask them about it. Hey, how's that tomato plant coming along? Or, made any cool pots lately? You'll be amazed at how people light up when you recall details from their previous chats. It's a small gesture that shows you care. But, and this is important, never fake it. People can usually tell when you're pretending to listen. It's better to admit you got distracted and ask them to repeat than to nod along, hoping to catch up later. Honesty is refreshing, and it helps in building trust. Lastly, listening is not about staying silent. It's about engaging. It's okay to ask questions, share a relevant experience, or simply nod with empathy. Oh, that sounds tough, or wow, that must have been exciting. These little remarks show you're not just passively absorbing, but actively participating in the conversation. Now, a small confession. I wasn't always great at this. Like any skill, active listening took time and practice, but the rewards, oh boy, they were worth it. Conversations started flowing easier, awkward silences became rare, and the best part? I found myself worrying less about what to say because I was so engrossed in what was being shared with me. In the end, conversations are a dance, a balance between talking and listening. And just like any dance, it's okay if you step on someone's toes now and then. It's all about enjoying the rhythm and moving along. So the next time you find yourself in a social situation, remember this little secret. Listen, Not just with your ears, but with your heart. Embrace the stories, the emotions, the experiences being shared with you. Before you know it, you'll not just survive the social event, you might even enjoy it. Chapter 2: The 5-Second Smile Rule. We've tackled the art of listening, and I hope you're feeling a bit more equipped in that department. Now, let's move on to another simple yet game-changing tactic: the 5-second smile rule. Yep, it's as straightforward as it sounds, but the impact? Well, you're in for a surprise. Have you ever walked into a room and felt instantly drawn to someone? Not in the romantic way, necessarily, but just felt a pull towards them. Chances are they had a warm, inviting smile on their face. Smiles are powerful. They're like magnets drawing people in, and guess what? You have one too. But if you're anything like how I used to be, you probably reserve it for special occasions or familiar faces. But what if I told you that flashing those pearly whites a bit more often could transform your social experiences? Now, I get it. The idea of walking around grinning like the Cheshire Cat seems weird, right? And trust me, that's not what I'm suggesting. The 5-second smile rule is more about creating a habit of offering a genuine, brief smile, especially in social scenarios. Let's break it down a bit. Imagine you're at a party or an event. You see a group of people chatting, laughing, and generally having a good time. It's daunting, I know. But instead of shrinking back, all you need to do is make brief eye contact with someone and offer a warm 5-second smile. You don't need to approach them or start a conversation unless you want to. Just that quick smile and then move on. Why does this work? Well, the smile is universal. It's understood in every culture and language. When you smile at someone, you're sending out a signal that says, "Hey, I'm friendly, I'm approachable, I'm not a threat." And more often than not, people will respond with a smile of their own. It's basic human nature. But what's magical about the number 5? Why not a 3-second or a 7-second smile? Well, 5 seconds feels just about right. It's long enough to be genuine, but short enough not to be creepy. It's the sweet spot that makes the other person feel acknowledged without making them uncomfortable. Now, this isn't about plastering a fake smile on your face. No one likes that, and people can usually tell. What I'm talking about is a real, genuine smile, even if it's a small one. Think about something that makes you happy. Maybe a pet or a favorite memory. Let that warmth spread across your face and then share it. Another thing, if you're worried about how to look when you smile, toss that right out the window. Everyone looks better with a smile. It's the universal beautifier. Plus, when you smile, you exude confidence, even if you're trembling inside, and that can change the way people perceive you. Let's dig a bit deeper. A smile doesn't just affect those around you, it affects you too. Ever heard the phrase, "fake it till you make it"? Well, when you smile, even if it's forced, your brain releases chemicals like dopamine, endorphins, and serotonin. These are the feel-good neurotransmitters that boost your mood. So, by just the simple act of smiling, you're giving yourself a little dose of happiness. But how do you remember to use the 5-second smile rule, especially if you're feeling nervous or out of your element? One way is to set mini goals for yourself. Say, tonight I'm going to offer 5-second smiles. Just 5, that's it. And as the night progresses, count them off. Before you know it, you'll reach your goal and, hey, maybe even surpass it. Another thing to keep in mind is that every smile won't always be returned, and that's okay. Don't let it deter you. People have their reasons. Maybe they're lost in thought or having a bad day. It's not a reflection on you. Your job is to keep smiling. Over time, as you practice this rule, you'll notice a change, not only in how people respond to you, but in how you feel in social situations. The act of smiling, the positive feedback you get, it all starts to build up, reinforcing your confidence and reducing those anxious feelings. In the world of social interactions, a smile might seem like a small thread, but it's one that can hold everything together. It's the first step, a silent hello, a bridge between you and another person. So, The next time you're in a social gathering or even just grabbing a coffee, remember the 5-second smile rule. Share a piece of warmth, offer a silent greeting, and watch as the world starts smiling back at you. Remember, you've got this, and I'm cheering you on every step of the way. Keep smiling. Chapter 3: The Compliment and Question Combo. From the art of listening to flashing our best 5-second smiles, we're slowly but surely unraveling the secrets of being more at ease in social situations. Now, let's dive into another of my favorite tactics. I like to call it the compliment and question combo. First things first, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, the idea of giving out compliments might seem a little intimidating, especially if you're shy or not used to it. But hold on. Before you dismiss it, give me a chance to explain. Compliments, when genuine, can work wonders. They can break the ice, warm up the atmosphere, and most importantly, make someone's day a little brighter. But here's where the twist comes in, following it up with a relevant question. This keeps the conversation flowing and gives it direction. Simple, right? But trust me, it's potent. So how does it work? Let's set the scene. Imagine you're at a friend's party. There are many unfamiliar faces, and the thought of striking up a conversation with a stranger is giving you the jitters. You notice someone wearing a really cool pair of shoes. Instead of just thinking it, go over and say, "Hey, I really like your shoes. Where did you get them?" There you have it. A compliment followed by a question. You've not only acknowledged something positive about them, but also provided an opportunity for them to share a bit about themselves. And just like that, a conversation is born. Now, let's get one thing clear. The compliment has to be genuine. Don't just say something for the sake of saying it. People can usually tell when you're being insincere, and that's not the impression you want to leave. Find something you genuinely appreciate or find interesting about the person or their choices. Now, why is this combo so effective? Because it's a double whammy of positivity. Firstly, by complimenting, you're acknowledging and appreciating something about the other person. Everyone loves to feel noticed and valued. Secondly, by asking a question, you're showing interest in their story or opinion. It gives them the chance to share a bit about themselves, and voila, the conversation ball is rolling. Over the years, I've used the compliment and question combo countless times. And you know what I've found? It not only helps in starting conversations, but also in diverting them if they're headed into uncomfortable territory. Say someone's discussing a topic you're not comfortable with. Compliment something relevant, and then steer the conversation in another direction with a related question. Now, I understand the idea of approaching someone and dishing out a compliment might sound daunting, especially if you're on the quieter side. So let's start small. Begin with people you're already familiar with, maybe a colleague or distant relative. Notice something positive about them and use the combo, "Hey, you always make the best coffee. How do you get it to taste so good?" Or, "That's a cool keychain. Is there a story behind it?" As you get more comfortable, you can try this tactic in more unfamiliar settings. The more you practice, the more natural it will become, and soon, starting conversations will feel less like a chore and more like a fun little game. But, like everything, there's a balance to strike. Don't overdo it. If you go around the room complimenting everyone and everything, it might come off as insecure. Use your judgment, trust your instincts, and find moments where the combo feels right. Remember, at the end of the day, it's all about building connections. Every person you meet has a world of stories, experiences, and perspectives. The compliment and question combo is just a simple tool to help you tap into that world. And here's a little bonus. As you practice this combo, you'll begin to notice more positives in the world around you. Your focus will shift from what's intimidating or unknown to what's interesting and praiseworthy. And that change in perspective, my friend, can make all the difference. To wrap up, I'd like to share a little secret. Behind this tactic is an age-old truth. Kindness and curiosity are powerful. When you show someone you see the good in them and are genuinely interested in their story, You're building the foundation for a meaningful connection. So, the next time you find yourself in a social setting, take a deep breath, look around, find something or someone that piques your interest, and let the compliment and question combo work its magic. Happy chatting. Chapter 4. Have your go-to stories ready. From mastering the power of a genuine smile to getting chatty with the compliment and question combo, we're making strides. Let's discuss another handy tactic: having your go-to stories ready. You might be wondering, John, why do I need to have stories ready? Well, think back to the last time you were in a group setting. Maybe at a dinner party or a get-together. Conversations buzzed around you, laughter echoed, stories were shared. Maybe you wanted to contribute, but found yourself thinking, what do I say? I don't have anything interesting to share. I've been there, and I know that feeling all too well. Here's the thing. Everyone has stories. Our lives are made up of little moments, some funny, some sad, some just plain weird. And these moments can be the perfect way to connect with others. They can be icebreakers, mood lighteners, or just a way to keep a conversation going. The trick is to identify a few of these stories and have them ready in your conversational arsenal. Now, I'm not saying you should rehearse them like a script or use them in every chat. That would be a tad overkill. Instead, think of them as handy tools in your conversational toolbox ready to be pulled out whenever you feel the need. So, let's start by identifying your go-to stories. Here's a way to go about it. 1. Childhood memories. Often, the silliest, most endearing stories come from our childhood. Maybe that time you tried to bake a cake and ended up turning the kitchen into a war zone, or when you thought you could fly and jumped off the porch in a cape. These stories are great because they showcase vulnerability and innocence, making them very relatable. 2. Travel tales. Been anywhere interesting lately? Or even a while ago? Travel stories can be great conversation starters. They don't have to be tales from exotic lands. Even a weekend getaway or a day trip can make for an engaging story. 3. Oops moments. You know, those moments where things didn't go quite as planned. Like when you mistakenly walked into the wrong restroom or wore mismatched shoes to work. These stories add a touch of humor and show that you're human and can laugh at yourself. 4. Passion projects. Maybe you've taken up a new hobby or are working on a project. Sharing your progress, struggles, and little victories can be a great way to engage others, especially if they share similar interests. All right, once you've identified a few potential stories, take some time to think them through. How would you start? What are the main points you want to touch on? How would you conclude? Doing this mental walkthrough ensures that when you do share your story, it flows smoothly. One thing to remember is to keep it concise. While you might love every tiny detail of your story, others might not share the same enthusiasm. A well-told story often has a bigger impact than a long-winded tale that loses its direction. Another important thing is to gauge your audience. Some stories might be perfect for a casual hangout with friends, but might not be the best choice for a formal dinner. So always consider the setting and the people around you. Now, why is this tactic so effective? Because stories are universal. They're a way humans have connected and communicated for ages. They make us laugh, cry, think, and most importantly, feel. By sharing a piece of your life, you're not just filling a conversational gap, you're building a bridge, a connection. But, John, what if my stories aren't interesting? Remember, it's often not about what the story is, but how you tell it. Enthusiasm and emotion can turn even a mundane event into an engaging tale. Lastly, always be open to new stories. Life has a funny way of throwing unexpected moments our way. Embrace them, laugh at them, learn from them, and when the time is right, share them. You'll be surprised at the reactions you get. So next time you find yourself in a conversation, feeling that familiar anxiety creep in, take a deep breath, sift through your go-to stories, pick one, and dive right in. I promise, with time and practice, sharing these stories will become as natural as breathing. And who knows, maybe someday this journey we're on, these tactics we're learning, They might just become a story you share. Happy storytelling. Chapter 5. The Buddy System. We've chatted about everything from those warm smiles to the art of storytelling. Now let's dive into another tactic that's been a lifesaver for me. The buddy system. Now, if you're thinking, wait, John, I thought the buddy system was for swimming or hiking. You're not wrong, but as it turns out, this age-old system works wonders in social scenarios too. Remember the first day of school or a new job? For many of us, it was daunting. Unknown faces, unfamiliar territory. It felt like stepping into an alien planet. But then, often, there was that one person, maybe a classmate or coworker, who made you feel a tad less lost. They introduced you to others, shared the inside jokes, and before you knew it, you weren't the new kid anymore. That, my friend, was the buddy system at play. Let's break it down a bit. The buddy system is pretty straightforward. Whenever you're heading into a social setting where you anticipate some anxiety or unfamiliarity, you bring along a buddy, someone you're comfortable with. This person acts as your anchor, your touchstone in a sea of unknowns. Why does this work? Let's dig a little deeper. 1. Familiarity in the unfamiliar. Humans, by nature, seek comfort. When in a new or unfamiliar environment, our eyes often search for something or someone recognizable. Having a buddy by your side offers that comfort. It's like walking into a room filled with strangers, but there's a familiar tune playing in the background. It's soothing and grounding. 2. Shared experiences. Going through something with another person tends to bond you. It's why people who have gone on trips or faced challenges together often have a deeper connection. So whether it's the awkwardness of a party where no one dances, or a seminar where the speaker goes on and on, experiencing it together with a buddy can make it more bearable and even enjoyable. You can share glances, make silent jokes, and discuss it later. 3. Taking turns. With a buddy, you can take turns initiating conversations or handling tricky situations. If one of you is feeling particularly low on energy or social confidence at that moment, the other one can step up. Now, while the buddy system sounds great, there are a few things to keep in mind. Don't become over-reliant. The idea isn't always to hide behind your buddy or use them as a crutch. They're there to help you ease in. Once you feel a bit more comfortable, try to venture out on your own. Engage in individual conversations, meet new people, and slowly expand your comfort zone. Choose wisely. Your buddy should be someone understanding, someone who gets your social anxieties and is supportive. It shouldn't be someone who brushes off your fears or pushes you too hard, too fast. Reciprocate. Remember, the buddy system is a two-way street. Just as you might need support, your buddy might too. Be there for them. Offer a listening ear, back them up in conversations, and above all, be understanding. So, how can you make the most of the buddy system? Pre-event chat. Before heading into the event, chat with your buddy. Discuss any anxieties, set some goals, like you both trying to meet at least 2 new people, and establish any signals in case one of you feels overwhelmed and needs a break. Post-event debrief. After the event, take some time to discuss. Talk about what went well, what could have been better, and celebrate small victories, like handling a difficult topic or making a new acquaintance. Now, while the buddy system is great, it's essential to strike a balance. Over time, as you grow more confident and comfortable, challenge yourself to occasionally step into social settings solo. Remember, the goal isn't to forever rely on a buddy, but to use their presence to gradually build your own social muscles. To wrap things up, socializing, like many things in life, can feel less daunting when you're not going it alone. Having someone by your side, someone who understands and supports you, can make all the difference. So the next time you're about to dive into a social whirlpool and feel the nerves kicking in, give a buddy a call. Together, you might just find that the deep end isn't so deep after all. Chapter 6. The Role-Playing Game. I have to admit, this is one of the chapters I've been eager to share. Why? Because it's about making socializing a bit more playful. a bit more adventurous, and yes, even a tad nerdy. We're diving into the world of role-playing, but not quite in the way you might think. Now, if you're imagining wizards, dungeons, and 20-sided dice, hold on a second. We're not talking about the traditional role-playing games, but rather the art of adapting a persona or role in our day-to-day interactions to help with social anxiety. Sounds intriguing? Let's dive in. Imagine for a moment that you're not just you. You're a version of yourself, but with a twist. Maybe you're John the Explorer, who's always curious and eager to learn about new people and places. Or John the Detective, who's a keen observer, always watching, always noticing the little details. By adopting a role, even briefly, you give yourself permission to act slightly outside your comfort zone. It's almost like putting on a costume. It gives you a shield, a layer of protection. Here's how the magic of role-playing can work wonders in social settings. 1. Permission to act differently. One of the things that holds many of us back in social settings is the fear of being judged or seen differently. By adopting a role, you're giving yourself permission, even if just temporarily, to act in a way that might not be typical for you. It's not lying or being fake, it's just trying on a new aspect of yourself. 2. Refocusing the mind. Social anxiety often stems from overthinking, worrying about what to say next, stressing over how you're perceived, or reliving minor missteps in your mind. Role-playing offers a fun distraction. Instead of fretting over details, your mind focuses on playing the role, leading to a more relaxed and natural interaction. 3. Building empathy. By stepping into a different role, even momentarily, you start seeing the world from a different perspective. It fosters understanding and empathy, which in turn can make conversations richer and more engaging. Now, before you start thinking this is some make-believe trick, let me assure you, it's rooted in a bit of science. Actors, for instance, often speak about becoming the character. When they're on stage or in front of a camera, they fully step into a different persona, experiencing emotions and thoughts that might be far removed from their own. For a brief period of time, they're not acting, they're living the role. And while we're not talking about Oscar-worthy performances here, the same principle applies. So how can you make the most of this role-playing game in real-life scenarios? 1. Choose your role carefully. Think of a character or trait you admire or find intriguing. It might be something from a book, movie, or even a quality you've observed in someone you know. The key is to choose a role that resonates with you and one that you can comfortably slip into. 2. Practice. Before you use it in a real-life setting, practice a little. It could be in front of a mirror or with a close friend or family member. Get a feel for your chosen role. Notice how your posture, voice, and even expressions might change slightly. 3. Set boundaries. Remember, the idea isn't to become someone else entirely or deceive people. It's a temporary switch to help navigate certain situations. Always know where to draw the line. 4. Reflect and adapt. After your interaction, take a moment to reflect. Did the role help? How did it feel? Were there moments of discomfort? Use these reflections to tweak and adapt for next time. As you grow more comfortable with this tactic, you can explore different roles or even mix and match traits. The beauty of this game is its flexibility. And the ultimate goal? Over time, you'll find that you won't need to rely on these roles as much. You'll have internalized the confidence and skills they offered, making them part of your natural persona. In closing, I want you to remember something important. This role-playing game isn't about hiding who you are, it's about discovering different facets of yourself. It's a playful way to explore, grow, and most importantly, make the journey of socializing a tad bit more fun. Chapter 7. Wear a Conversation Starter. So we've gone through role-playing, buddying up, and a few other fun tactics. But now let's chat about something we all have in common, something we all do every day: wearing clothes. Picture this. You walk into a room and someone immediately comments, "Hey, I love that t-shirt. Is that from that famous 90s band?" Or, Wow, those are some unique earrings. Where did you get them? Right off the bat, the ice is broken and a conversation is ignited. That's the magic of wearing something that piques interest and invites comments. You see, it's not just about fashion or vanity. It's about creating an avenue for others to approach you, giving them a reason to start a conversation without the awkward, "So, come here often?" We're making it easy for people to take the first step so you don't always have to. Let's explore the beauty of this simple yet effective tactic. 1. Breaking the ice. One of the most daunting aspects of socializing is the initial interaction, the breaking of the proverbial ice. By wearing something unique or interesting, you're giving others an opening, a topic to start with. It's a conversation served on a silver platter. 2. Showcasing your personality. Your choice of attire or accessories can often reflect your interests, passions, or even your sense of humor. It's a subtle way to express yourself and give people a tiny glimpse into who you are. 3. Building confidence. Receiving compliments or sparking interest can be a real confidence booster. Every time someone comments or asks about your chosen conversation starter, it's a mini affirmation that you're interesting and worth getting to know. 4. Creating memorable interactions. Trust me, in a sea of regular t-shirts, yours might just stand out. And that makes you memorable. People might remember you as the one with the funky hat or the person with the hilarious slogan on their shirt. Okay, John, I get it. But what exactly can I wear? I'm glad you asked. Here are some simple ideas. Graphic tees with a message or image. Maybe it's a retro band you love, a famous movie quote, or even a quirky cartoon character. Something that resonates with you. Unique jewelry. It could be a necklace from a trip you took, handmade earrings, or a vintage watch. These not only look good, but also carry stories. Pins and badges. They're small, they're fun, and they're super expressive. Whether it's a cause you support, a hobby you love, or just something that makes people chuckle. Quirky shoes or socks. Believe it or not, people do notice what's on your feet. Maybe it's a pair of bright patterned socks or shoes in a funky design. Hats or scarves. From beanies with fun slogans to uniquely patterned scarves, these are easy to pull off and often grab attention. However, while the idea is to stand out a bit, it's essential to feel comfortable. Don't wear something that doesn't resonate with you just because it might spark a conversation. It should be a reflection of you, not a mask you put on. Now, here's a small challenge. Next time you're about to head to a social gathering, try this out. Pick out something from your wardrobe, or maybe buy something new if you're feeling it, that's a little different, a bit you, and a tad conversation worthy. Wear it with confidence. See how it changes your interactions. You just might be surprised. To wrap up this chapter, remember this. Conversations don't always need profound topics or philosophical debates. Sometimes they just need a nudge, a starting point. And what better way to provide that than wearing your heart, your humor, or your passion on your sleeve, or neck, or feet. Chapter 8. The Power of Curiosity. We've journeyed through quite a few topics together, haven't we? From the art of listening to clothing choices that spark conversations. Time to venture into something innate in all of us, but often overlooked in social scenarios. Our sense of curiosity. Remember being a kid? The world was this vast mystery, and we approached everything with wide-eyed wonder. Why is the sky blue? Why do birds fly? Where does the sun go at night? We were little bundles of relentless questions. It wasn't annoying, okay, maybe occasionally to the adults. It was endearing because it was genuine curiosity. As we grow up, we're told to act mature, and somehow along the way, many of us suppress this beautiful trait. But let me share a secret. That innate curiosity, it's the key to natural, flowing, and enriching conversations. Let's break down why curiosity is such a game changer. 1. Natural conversations. When you're genuinely curious about someone or something they've said, your questions and comments flow naturally. It doesn't feel forced or staged, and the interaction becomes less of a task and more of an exploration. 2. People love talking about themselves. It's not vanity, it's human nature. When someone shows genuine interest in our lives, hobbies, or experiences, it makes us feel valued. By being curious, you're giving someone the joy of sharing a piece of themselves. 3. Learning and growing. Every conversation, every interaction becomes an opportunity to learn something new. Whether it's a fun fact, a different perspective, or a skill, your horizons expand with each curious question you pose. 4. Bypassing awkwardness. Ever been stuck in a conversation that feels like pulling teeth, everything's a dead end? By being curious, you naturally open doors to new topics and avenues of discussion. Now, how can you tap into this power of curiosity, especially if you've been out of touch with it for a while? Reconnect with your inner child. Sounds a bit cliche, I know, but honestly, try it. Approach situations with a child's wonder. Ask questions. Even if they sound silly, you'd be surprised how this can invigorate conversations. Start with safe topics. If you're unsure where to begin, start with the universally relatable topics. Maybe it's about a popular TV show, a trending book, or even the weather. Slowly steer the conversation, and as you get comfortable, let your curiosity delve deeper. Be present. This sounds like one of those meditation mantras, but it's true. When you're in a conversation, be there fully. Listen, engage, and let your curiosity be piqued by the little details. Avoid judgment. Curiosity and judgment can't coexist. Approach conversations with an open mind. Even if you don't agree with someone's viewpoint, being curious can help you understand their perspective. All right, story time. I promise it's short and sweet. A while back at a party, I found myself next to someone who was deeply passionate about, wait for it, mushrooms. Now, I didn't know the first thing about them, besides the fact that they occasionally topped my pizza. But I decided to dive in, let my curiosity guide me. Which ones can you eat? How do you forage them? What's the most exciting part about mushrooms? By the end of the chat, not only did I have a newfound appreciation for fungi, but I also had a memorable conversation and made a new friend. All thanks to curiosity. To wrap up our chat, let me leave you with this. Every person you meet knows something you don't. Think about that. Every interaction is an opportunity, a mini adventure waiting to happen. The ticket to this adventure? A curious heart and an open mind. So, the next time you're in a conversation, whether it's about space travel, knitting, or, yes, even mushrooms, dive in with genuine curiosity. Who knows? You might just discover your next passion, or, at the very least, have a chat that leaves you with a smile. Chapter 9. The Exit Strategy. We've covered the entrance, the dance, and all the fun stuff in between. Now, let's talk about part of social interactions that's equally crucial but often gets overlooked. Making a graceful exit. Yep, you read that right. Exiting a conversation can be just as significant as entering one. Now, what you might be wondering, John, why are we focusing on leaving? Isn't the whole point to stay engaged? Well, sure, but think about it. All good things come to an end, whether you're at a party that's winding down or in a conversation that's run its course. Knowing how to exit without feeling or making things awkward can make a world of difference. So let's first understand why a smooth exit is so important. 1. Leaving a lasting impression. Remember the old saying, you're only as good as your last performance? It applies here too. How you end a conversation can leave a lasting impression. A graceful exit can make your interaction memorable for all the right reasons. 2. Avoiding burnout. We've all been there. Conversations that drag on way past their expiration date. By knowing when and how to leave, you can conserve your energy, avoiding the exhaustion that sometimes comes from prolonged socializing. 3. Respect for others. Sometimes the other person might be looking for a way out too. By recognizing cues and making a timely exit, you're showing respect for their time and comfort. Now, let's dive into some simple tactics for mastering the art of the exit. The thank you approach. This is probably the easiest and most polite way to conclude a conversation. Simply thank the person for the lovely chat, the insights they shared, or even just their time. It's straightforward, genuine, and universally appreciated. The "I'll let you go" tactic. This is a little sneaky, but works wonders. By saying, "I don't want to keep you," or "I'll let you go catch up with others," you're putting the ball in their court. It gives them the opportunity to continue or appreciate your thoughtfulness and wrap things up. The appreciate and redirect move. Mention something you genuinely enjoyed or learned from the conversation, followed by a redirection. For example, "I had no idea about that. Thanks for sharing. Oh, I see Mike over there. Haven't caught up with him in ages. Going to say hi." Use body language. Sometimes words aren't even necessary. Slowly orienting your body away, looking towards the exit, or even checking your watch can signal that you're about to leave. Honesty with tact. If all else fails and you really need to leave, just be honest. "I've got an early start tomorrow," or "I need to catch the last train home." Just remember to keep it courteous. Alright, here's a story from my own treasure trove, and trust me, I've got plenty of these. I was once at this mega get-together, chatting with someone about movies. Now, I love movies, but after 40 minutes of debating whether the third or fourth sequel of a franchise was better, I could feel my energy dipping. I needed an out, so I used the appreciate and redirect move. "You've given me a whole new perspective on that movie. But speaking of films, I promised Jenny I'd get her thoughts on a recent one we both watched. Let's catch up later?" Worked like a charm. To wrap up, remember this. Every conversation, no matter how engaging, has a natural lifespan. Recognizing when it's reached its end and knowing how to exit gracefully is just as vital as initiating or maintaining the dialogue. It ensures you leave on a high note, feeling good, and more importantly, making the other person feel good too. Chapter 10. Own your awkwardness. So we've danced through a lot of moves together, entering conversations, sustaining them, and even gracefully exiting. Now, let's talk about something we all feel but rarely embrace: our own awkwardness. Remember that time you spilled a drink at a party? Or when you waved back at someone only to realize they were waving at the person behind you? Yep, we've all been there. Awkward moments are part of life. But what if I told you that these moments, instead of being cringe-worthy disasters, could actually be the key to making genuine connections? Here's the thing. Everyone has had their fair share of awkward moments. Everyone. Even that suave-looking guy at the coffee shop or the super confident lady giving presentations like she was born to do it. The difference lies in how we perceive and handle these situations. Let's understand why embracing your awkwardness can be the game changer. 1. It's relatable. Remember that feeling when someone shares an embarrassing story and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that happened to me too." Instantly, there's a bond, a shared experience. 2. Breaks the ice. Awkwardness can be an unexpected icebreaker. If handled with a smile or a lighthearted comment, it can lead to laughter and easy conversations. 3. Shows vulnerability. Being perfect is overrated and impossible. When you own your awkward moments, it shows that you're human, that you're genuine. And guess what? People are drawn to authenticity. 4. Eases pressure. The moment you accept that it's okay to be awkward sometimes, a huge weight is lifted off your shoulders. Social interactions become less about performing and more about just being yourself. Alright, here are some simple ways to transform awkwardness from a foe to a friend. Laugh it off. Did you trip over your own feet? Spill something? Say something utterly out of context? Before anyone else can react, laugh. It instantly diffuses tension and turns a potentially embarrassing situation into a lighthearted one. Acknowledge, don't hide. Instead of pretending like nothing happened, acknowledge the moment. Wow, that was a classic me move. This takes the attention away from the event and redirects it to the recovery. Share stories. One of the best ways to embrace awkwardness is to share past awkward stories. It's a fun way to engage others and often leads to a volley of embarrassing moment tales. Reframe the narrative. Instead of seeing an awkward moment as a failure, view it as a unique quirk. It's part of who you are. By changing your perception, you change your response. I've got a story for you. I bet you didn't see that coming, huh? A few years back, I was at a party and I mistook someone for a college buddy of mine. I went all out, patted him on the back, bringing up old college jokes. The look on his face said it all. He wasn't my college friend. Yikes. Instead of fleeing the scene, which, trust me, felt tempting, I laughed and said, "Well, that's one way to make a new friend, huh?" We both chuckled, and guess what? We ended up having a fantastic conversation about mistaken identities. Today, he's one of my closest pals. The moral here? Moments of awkwardness aren't roadblocks. They're just detours, often leading to fantastic destinations. To wrap up this chapter, own your awkwardness. It's part of who you are, it's genuine, it's real, and it's relatable. Next time you find yourself in an awkward situation, take a deep breath, smile, and remember that everyone's been there. Embrace it, laugh about it, and watch as it transforms from an embarrassing hiccup to the highlight of the conversation. Chapter 11. The Two-Question Rule. Now that we've chatted about embracing the awkward, let's move on to another simple yet game-changing strategy I call the Two-Question Rule. I know, it sounds like one of those unwritten restaurant rules where you're supposed to drink 2 glasses of water for every alcoholic drink or something like that. But hang in there with me, because this little trick can completely change the way you engage with people. So, what's the two-question rule? Simply put, for every statement or story you share, try to ask 2 questions. This does a couple of things. 1, encourages active listening. You're actively seeking more information or clarity, showing the other person you're genuinely interested in what they're saying. 2, balances the conversation. It ensures that you're not just talking about yourself the whole time. This balance ensures both parties feel involved and valued. 3, opens new avenues. Often, these questions can lead to topics you might not have touched upon otherwise. All right, let's dive deeper into why this rule is so golden. Avoiding monologues. We've all been stuck listening to someone who goes on and on about their vacation, their cat, their new blender. You get the drift. While sharing is great, a conversation should be a two-way street. The two-question rule ensures you don't become that person. Building genuine connections. Asking questions gives the other person a chance to share, to express, and to feel heard. When someone feels heard, they feel valued. And that, my friend, is the cornerstone of a genuine connection. Encouraging depth. Surface-level small talk has its place, but if you're looking to form a deeper connection or simply have a more meaningful conversation, questions help you get there. Now, it's not about asking random, out-of-context questions just for the sake of it. The key lies in being attentive and framing questions based on the ongoing conversation. For instance, if someone's talking about their recent trip to Italy, you could share a bit about your travel experiences and then ask, which city in Italy was your favorite? Followed by, did you get to try any local dishes that you'd recommend? See what I did there? Share a bit, then inquire more about their experience. All right, story time. A while back, I met a lady at a community event. She mentioned she was into gardening. Now, my idea of gardening is keeping a cactus alive, so I was out of my depth. But applying the two-question rule, I first shared my hilarious and tragic cactus story and then asked her, what got you into gardening? And, have you got any tips for beginners? What could have been a dead-end topic turned into an enlightening conversation about the therapeutic effects of gardening, and I even got a few tips to, hopefully, not kill my next plant. So, what's the takeaway here? Asking questions is a simple yet powerful way to show interest, ensure balanced interactions, and delve deeper. Next time you're in a conversation, give the 2-question rule a whirl. It might take a bit of practice initially, but soon it'll become second nature. Before we wrap up, here's a tiny challenge for you. In your next interaction, be it with a friend, colleague, or even the barista at your favorite coffee place, try implementing this rule. Share, ask, and see where the conversation takes you. Chapter 12. Ground yourself. From the art of asking questions to dancing with our delightful awkward moments, we've covered quite the ground. Time to talk about something a tad different, but oh so important. Grounding yourself. Nope, I'm not talking about getting sent to your room without dinner because you came home past curfew. I mean grounding in the sense of feeling connected, centered, and present during social interactions. Ever been in a situation where you're physically present, but your mind is off plotting a space mission to Mars? You're nodding, but you're not really there. That, my friend, is the opposite of being grounded. Being grounded means you're fully there, in the moment, connected to yourself and to others. Let's break down why grounding yourself is vital. 1. Better conversations. When you're grounded, you can genuinely engage with someone. You listen better, respond more thoughtfully, and overall, make the conversation richer. 2. Less anxiety. By being in the moment, you're less focused on past blunders or future uncertainties. This helps reduce the anxious feelings that can often accompany social situations. 3. Real connections. When you're truly present, you're more genuine, more authentic. And as we've established earlier, authenticity is a magnet for genuine connections. Now, let's chat about some simple ways to ground yourself. Deep breathing. Taking deep, intentional breaths can help calm your mind and bring you back to the present. If you find your mind wanders off during a conversation, try taking a subtle deep breath. It works wonders. Physical awareness. A little trick I learned is to focus on the sensation of my feet on the ground. It's a silent reminder that I'm here, in this space, in this moment. It sounds simple, but give it a try next time you feel your thoughts drifting. Mindful listening. This means really tuning into what the other person is saying. Without thinking about your grocery list or the funny cat video you watched earlier, listen to their tone, their expressions, the emotions behind their words. It not only grounds you, but also makes the other person feel truly heard. All right, story time. A couple of years ago, I attended a workshop. Midway, I felt overwhelmed. My mind was racing with all sorts of distracting thoughts. I remembered the grounding techniques I learned, so I took a few deep breaths and focused on the feeling of my back against the chair, my feet on the ground. Slowly but surely, I began to feel more present and connected. By grounding myself, I was able to not just get through the workshop, but genuinely benefit from it. Grounding isn't just about making the most of social situations. It's a tool you can use in various aspects of life, be it during a tough day at work, a tense family dinner, or while watching a beautiful sunset. It's about fully experiencing and appreciating the present moment. So, as we wrap up this chapter, here's a mini challenge for you. The next time you find yourself drifting off or feeling disconnected, try one of the grounding techniques. Observe how it changes your experience. Remember, every moment is unique and once gone, will never return in quite the same way. So why not make the most of it? Chapter 13. The Social Timer. This one's a favorite of mine, especially for those days when socializing feels like a marathon and you're in desperate need of a water break. Meet the social timer. Let's paint a picture. Imagine going to the gym for the first time in a while. You wouldn't attempt to lift the heaviest weight straight away, right? You'd start small and gradually increase your stamina. Socializing, especially for those of us who might find it a tad taxing at times, is kind of like that. Instead of jumping into a 3-hour-long party or dinner that feels endless, we use the social timer to ease ourselves in. The social timer is all about setting a manageable amount of time you'll spend in a social setting, and then, here's the kicker, sticking to it. So instead of feeling trapped in a situation, you know there's an end point. This end point gives you a sense of control and reduces the stress often associated with social situations. Why does the social timer work wonders? 1. It eliminates overwhelm. Knowing you only have to be in a social situation for a specific amount of time can drastically reduce the feelings of being overwhelmed. 2. Boosts quality. If you know you only have an hour at an event, you're more likely to make the most of it rather than just waiting for it to end. 3. Increases confidence. Each successful interaction within your set time frame can boost your confidence for longer social settings in the future. Now, how do you set up and use your social timer? It's easy peasy. Pick your time. Before an event or gathering, decide how long you'll stay. It could be 30 minutes, an hour, or even 15 minutes. Whatever feels comfortable. Inform your host. If it's a smaller gathering, it's polite to let your host know in advance that you have to leave by a certain time. This way, you can exit gracefully without it seeming abrupt. Set an alarm. No, not a blaring alarm that disrupts the entire party, but a subtle vibration or a soft tone on your phone can be a gentle reminder that your set time is nearing its end. Stick to it. This is crucial. When your time is up, make your excuses and leave. With each successful exit, you'll find the next social situation even easier to navigate. Let me share a little story. When I first started using the social timer, I decided to set a 45-minute limit for myself at a friend's get-together. Now, I'm not going to lie. The first 20 minutes were still a bit rocky, but knowing that I only had a limited time there somehow made things easier. I found myself more involved, and before I knew it, my timer was buzzing. I thanked my friend, mentioned I had an early day tomorrow, and made my exit. The best part? I left on a high note, feeling good about the time I spent there. As you get more comfortable, you can gradually increase your time. Maybe add an extra 15 minutes to your next event. The key is to keep it manageable and comfortable for you. One important note: the social timer isn't an excuse to flee from every social situation. It's a tool to help you manage and gradually build your social stamina. Think of it as training wheels. Eventually, you'll find that you might not even need it. So, there we have it, the trusty social timer. As we wrap up, I want to encourage you to give it a try. Next time you're invited somewhere, set a timer. Feel the difference it makes knowing you have that control. And remember, it's not about the quantity of time, but the quality. Chapter 14. Finding your quiet spot. We're going to talk about an oasis in the middle of the desert, a sanctuary amid the chaos, a beacon in your storm. All right, maybe not so dramatic, but definitely just as impactful. I'm talking about finding your quiet spot, especially in the midst of a bustling social event. We've all been there, in the thick of a loud party or gathering, surrounded by chatter and laughter, feeling like we just need a moment to breathe. A moment away from the noise, away from the need to constantly respond or engage. A moment to just be. That's where your quiet spot comes into play. The quiet spot is your little escape route, a place you can retreat to when you need a breather. Think of it like pausing a video game to grab a snack or stretch your legs. You're not quitting the game, just taking a short break before you dive back in. Now, why is having a quiet spot so important? 1. Recharge your batteries. Just like our phones need a charge when they're running low, sometimes we need a moment to recharge our social batteries. 2. Collect your thoughts. It can help you gather your thoughts, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious. 3. Avoid burnout. Continuously pushing yourself without breaks can lead to social burnout. Regularly retreating to your quiet spot can prevent this. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of finding and using your quiet spot. Identify in advance. If you're going to a familiar place, think of spots you can use as your quiet haven. It could be a less crowded room, a balcony, a garden, or even a quiet corner. New territory? No worries. If you're somewhere new, take a quick stroll around when you arrive and identify a few potential spots. It's like scoping out the best seat in a new coffee shop. Keep it short. Remember, the quiet spot isn't a place to camp out all night. It's just a breather. A few minutes can be enough to calm your nerves and prepare you for another round of mingling. Use it as needed. Don't feel guilty about using your quiet spot. If you need a moment, take it. Listen to your own needs. Okay, story time. A while back, I was at this big family gathering. You know, the kind where everyone and their dog is there. About an hour in, I started feeling that familiar wave of overwhelm, but this time I was prepared. I had spotted a little garden area when I arrived. So, I made my way there, took a few deep breaths, and just enjoyed the chirping of the birds and the rustling of the leaves. After about 10 minutes, I was back in the fray, feeling refreshed and ready. Now, I understand not every place will have a peaceful garden or balcony with a view. Sometimes your quiet spot could just be stepping into a hallway or even taking a quick walk around the block. The goal isn't the location, but the brief escape it provides. In essence, your quiet spot is like a secret weapon. It's that special place that lets you collect yourself, recharge, and get back into the social game with a renewed sense of purpose. It's a sign of self-awareness and self-care, not weakness. So, the next time you find yourself at a gathering or event, remember to scope out your quiet spot. Use it, cherish it, and let it be your little oasis. It's a game changer, I promise. Chapter 15. Celebrate small wins. Let's dive into something I truly hold dear. It's all about appreciating the little moments, those minor achievements, and the tiny steps forward. Yep, we're diving into the art of celebrating small wins. Now, I'm not talking about throwing a grand party every time you, say, step into a room full of people, though if you want to, I'm always down for a good party. Instead, it's about recognizing and taking a moment to feel proud of your minor milestones, especially in the vast landscape of social interactions. You see, when we're on this journey of navigating and improving our social skills, it's easy to fixate on the big goals. Maybe it's finally attending that huge family gathering without a hitch or giving a presentation without feeling like a nervous wreck. While these are great and definitely deserve a celebration, it's the little steps along the way that often make the big moments possible. And those small moments, they deserve their time in the spotlight too. Why should we celebrate small wins? 1. Boosts confidence. Recognizing small achievements can give you the confidence to tackle larger challenges. 2. Builds momentum. Small wins can act like stepping stones, propelling you towards bigger goals. 3. Fosters positivity. Focusing on your progress, no matter how tiny, can create a positive mindset. Now, what counts as a small win? Honestly, it's subjective. For someone, just showing up to an event might be a win. For another, it might be starting a conversation with a stranger. The key is to recognize these moments for what they are, stepping stones in your larger journey. Let me share how you can spot and celebrate these wins. Reflect on your day. At the end of your day, take a moment to think back. Did you engage in a short conversation? Did you make someone laugh? Or maybe you simply didn't shy away from a group chat. All these are wins. Journal it. Keeping a small journal of your social successes, no matter how insignificant they might seem, can be super helpful. When you're feeling low, flip through it and remind yourself of your progress. Treat yourself. Did you spend an extra 10 minutes at a party than you planned? Or did you introduce yourself to someone new? Reward yourself. Maybe with a sweet treat, a movie night, or just a relaxed evening with your favorite book. Share with a friend. Sharing your small victories with a trusted friend or family member can amplify the joy. Their encouragement can further boost your confidence. Alright, let's dive into a bit of story time. A while ago, when I was still very much in the thick of my social anxiety, I had set a goal for myself to attend a friend's birthday party. Now, the big goal was to stay for at least 2 hours. But internally, I had a smaller goal. I wanted to strike up a conversation with at least one person I hadn't met before. Well, the party came, and not only did I manage to stay the 2 hours, but I also chatted with a fellow who had an interesting collection of vintage watches. We spoke for about 5 minutes, but for me, that was a massive win. Instead of waiting for the end of the party to feel proud, I mentally gave myself a pat on the back right then. And guess what? That small win gave me the energy and confidence to mingle a bit more throughout the evening. See, the thing is, life's not about the big moments alone. It's also about the tiny, seemingly insignificant ones that lead up to the grand events. Each step, no matter how small, is a testament to your progress, your courage, and your growth. So as we wrap up this chapter, I want to leave you with this little task. Today, or the next time you find yourself in a social setting, I want you to spot one small win. Recognize it, cherish it, and celebrate it. You're making progress, and every step, every achievement, every tiny victory is worth celebrating. Conclusion. The journey is yours. We've traveled quite a distance together, haven't we? From the first chapter till now, we've laughed, reminisced, learned, and grown. And just like any great journey, the destination isn't always the end point. It's about the memories we've made and the lessons we've gathered along the way. First off, I want to say a massive thank you. Thank you for letting me be a part of your journey, for taking a leap of faith with this book, and for allowing me to share the bits and pieces of wisdom I've picked up on my own path. Know that by even picking up this book, you've taken a big step towards embracing the wonderfully social creature that's within you. Now, while we're winding down our time together in these pages, your personal journey is still very much in motion. Remember, every day presents a fresh chance to practice, to learn, and to grow. And with each challenge you face, know that you're building a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. Throughout this book, we've covered a myriad of tactics and strategies, but I hope the biggest takeaway for you is this. It's okay to be you. Whether you're loud, quiet, outgoing, or reserved, it's the genuine, authentic you that the world wants to see. Own your quirks, embrace your individuality, and know that your value isn't determined by the number of conversations you have, but by the sincerity and heart you bring to each one. Let's face it, socializing can be tough, even daunting at times. But as you've learned with the right tools and mindset, it can also be incredibly rewarding. Every smile you share, every story you tell, and every hand you shake adds color and dimension to your life. So, as we part ways for now, I want you to promise me something. Promise that you'll celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Promise that you'll be patient with yourself, understanding that growth often comes in waves with its highs and lows. And most importantly, promise that you'll keep pushing forward, even on the days when it feels too tough. Because trust me, it's on those days when you muster the courage to face the world that you shine the brightest. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. Keep your head held high, wear your heart on your sleeve, and remember that every step you take is a dance, every word you speak is a song, and every connection you make is a story waiting to be told. Here's to you, to your journey, and to the endless adventures that await. Go out there and shine because the world is brighter with you in it.